Hey guys, welcome to Amity Tracks. It's time for 1981. Let's get into it. '81, man, this is a good year. It's a full year. Let's take a look at this stuff. Well, first of all, what happened in 1981? Well, the DeLorean debuts. It's pretty nice. Two pretty big assassination attempts that failed. One on Pope John Paul II and one on Ronald Reagan. The space shuttle makes its debut launch. The first recognized case of AIDS in the United States. The Wonderland murders occur. Maybe, maybe not involving John Holmes. Loose inspiration for parts of the great film Boogie Nights. A lot of debuts actually. Donkey Kong debuts in '81. MTV debuts in '81. Debuting with the very first video that they played was appropriately enough by the Buggles. Video killed the radio star. And finally, crack cocaine debuts in the United States. That's a big year. And Ordinary People wins Best Picture that year. All right. So here we go. You know the rules. You know how this thing goes. I'm going to give you my top 10 releases of '81. And then we can close out with a list of honorable mentions. And you guys in the comments can tell me where I got it wrong, where I got it right, what did I leave out. We can just talk '81. It's a great year. It's a great year. So in my number 10 slot, this is a record from a band that I covered recently. Had a week over these guys recently. And this is a record that is not very beloved by a lot of people. You look at a lot of rankings, other rankings other than mine. A lot of them have it pretty low. I don't get it because I really dig Abacab by Genesis. I mean, if you're going to look at their pop years, after they get away from their amazing progressive era, I think for me this is the top of the heap of the pop years, man. I mean the Abacab, the song, pretty meaningless, but no reply at all. It's got that great kind of pop sound from Phil Collins. I always like Keep It Dark. Who Done It sucks, but it's a good record overall. In my number 9 slot, kind of funny on this one, because when this came out, critics were just falling all over themselves about how amazing this was. This band is back. They've found their mojo again. When the truth of it was, this record was basically a vault clean out. But it still holds up and it's a great record. Talking about Tattoo You from the Rolling Stones. Yeah, the the not so secret anymore secret about this record was most of it was old tunes left over from various sessions throughout the '70s, and they just took them out, dusted them off, cleaned them up. Jagger recorded some new vocal tracks, and you have a Stones record. But actually, it really is a great, great listen. Fantastic Stones record. All right, number 8. I like these guys. I like these guys a lot. Daryl Hall and John Oates, Private Eyes. In fact, I was just listening to this while I was getting all these records together. Man, I mean, really, for I Can't Go For That, No Can Do Alone, this should be on there. That is like the grooviest, because that bass line, boom, 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 oh, so great. Really like this record. I like this record a lot. All right, let's see. Number 7, I have Moving Pictures from Rush. I mean, opening with the immortal Tom Sawyer, which as overplayed as that is, it still it still gets the adrenaline pumping. But yeah, I mean Red Barchetta, yeah, Limelight, great great hits. Awesome. I like Rush. I'm not like diehard fan or anything, but I mean, this can't deny this. You can't deny that at all. Number 6. Now this group has sort of been playing around in the honorable mentions, for years for me, but finally they get a record in the top 10. I think this is brilliant. Craftwork's Computer World. I think this is genius. Really, really is. I mean, a lot of the messages, kind of a concept album, about how computers are dominating our lives and all that, and pretty prescient too for 1981. A song like "Computer Love," which actually has a gorgeous melody to it. And I don't know if you know, Coldplay took that. I don't remember the Coldplay song now; it's escaping my mind. Editor can throw the song up there, but Coldplay, they acknowledge it. I think they paid Kraftwerk for it, but they took that melody and used it in their own song. Beautiful song, but sort of looking ahead, saying that people are going to be able to find love through artificial intelligence eventually. And what do you know? We're here. But yeah, I mean, this whole thing is brilliant. Just brilliant concept, and I mean, I love Kraftwerk. I really do, and I think Kraftwerk's underrated. And the people always talk about the bleeps and the bloops and the program beats and all that, but they could come up with some great melody lines and stuff, and I think that really shows on here. Okay, number 5 is a guy that I don't know, I give a hard time. I used to really like him, like way back in the day. I think he's I don't like much of his stuff at all, but this is the one record that still just really stands out for me as a great record. Talking about Billy Joel and Songs in the Attic. This is a real interesting record. This is a live album, but the idea behind it is really cool. So this came out after The Stranger, and The Stranger really kind of brought Billy Joel to a new level of fame and all that. He rightfully felt that he had a lot of really good songs in his back catalog pre-Stranger that maybe were overlooked, and he also thought that they didn't get the right production, weren't really recorded right, didn't really show the true potential of these songs. So he kind of purposely put this live album together, but just these songs from his back catalog pre-Stranger. And I love it that he does not include Piano Man, because everyone did know that. So these were sort of lesser known songs, and he's absolutely right. I mean, song for song, they are much stronger here than they were on the original albums. I think this is a awesome record, and this is coming from someone who is not a big Billy Joel fan anymore, but this one remains. I mean, great, really does. Number 4, the debut album from a group I did a video on a while ago. Might have surprised some people that I love this band. Talking about Duran Duran and their self-titled debut, just a masterwork of synth pop, and but with as I mentioned in that video, the secret weapon of this band of Duran Duran is that they are actually all really good musicians. I mean, yeah, they were pin up, they were in Tiger Beat and all that, but and they rode the MTV wave with the videos. But underneath, really good songs and really good musicianship. And I think this is a kind of synth pop masterpiece. Now this is the UK version, or this is a repress of the UK version. The one that I grew up with was the later reissue of the US version, which is this, which added "Is There Something I Should Know," the single, which was not on the original. But I mean, to me, this is what I grew up with. So to me, this is the album, although a more accurate representation would be that original UK version. But I go with the American repress. All right, getting to the top 3 here. You guys know I love this band. Did a video on them a while ago. I told you when we got to them in these years that you're going to see every one of their records on there, on these lists. I'm just a massive fan of the Police, and again, go back and watch my Police video. See how I feel about Ghost in the Machine. Their kind of darkest record, their sort of densest record. I think their most cohesive record in sound. I mean, of course, has the hits, Spirits of the Material World, Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic, Invisible Sun. I mean, those are the first three songs, just boom, 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 hitting you with the singles. Demolition Man is probably the song that they stretch out and jam the most on. But even that second side that isn't as familiar, God, it's good. One World, Omega Man, Secret Journey. I mean, this, love it, love it, love it. My number two would probably be a number one in almost any other year, but my number one has to be my number one. So my number two is the first record of the 80s version of King Crimson, Discipline. This is absolute genius, brilliant. This is in my top 20 records of all time. I've I've gushed about how much I love. Well, I love King Crimson. We'll do a King Crimson week at some point. But I love 80s Crimson, that trio of records that they did, where they brilliantly combine, their sort of progressive chops and creativity with sort of new wave sounds. And man, God, it works. And this lineup just blows me away. Robert Fripp, of course, Tony Levin on bass, Bill Bruford on drums, Adrian Belew on guitar and vocals. I mean, for me, like, this is my favorite lineup of Crimson. Genius. I mean, all the way through genius. We'll talk more Crimson. But my number one has to be my number one. I have probably listened to this record more than any other record I own. I go way back with this. Love it, love it. If you watch my Deserted Island video from a while back, which was kind of fun, I talked about it there. But here we are, 1981. So, yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. My love for this record knows no bounds, and it's unreasonable. It's absolutely unreasonable. I mean, if Revolver had come out, Beatles Revolver had come out in 1981, it would be number two because this record would still be my number one. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it. But man, do I love some Men at Work and Business as Usual, their debut, the brilliance of Colin Hay. But I love this whole band. Ron Streichert, I think, is an underrated guitar player. Greg Ham is great on the keyboard. He's the one who adds the color, the saxophones and the flutes and the keyboards, and a real solid rhythm section too. I mean, that original lineup of Men at Work, I only had them on two records. Now that original quintet, God, I know every nook and cranny of this album. I mean, and I can put it on right now and still just love it all the way through. It's just, we all have those records, don't we? I mean, we all have those records, and this is one of them for me. I just think brilliant 80s pop, man. I mean, hits on here. Who Can It Be Now? Down Under. Even Be Good Johnny, which some people find irritating. I love it. But every other song on here, I love all the album tracks. I think it's brilliantly constructed. Just great pop, man. What a great band. What a great band. So, yeah, there you go. All right. Let's get into some honorable mentions here. This is a great year. This is a great year. Whole stack here. Going through some honorable mentions. I guess there's two that editor can throw up here that I don't have physical copies of, but I do really like. Psychedelic Furs, Talk, Talk, Talk. It's a great one. Then Ozzy Osbourne's Diary of a Madman. That's fantastic stuff. What I do have, let's see here. I'll put the stack over here and I'll just grab them. I think the last really good to great Devo album, New Traditionalists. This record's really good. And I showed you Craftwork before. I mean, you see the influence. And so this one's there's some really good songs on here. Nice melodies, actually. I mean, they have totally made that transition to pretty much completely synthesizer, synths and program stuff. I mean, there's hardly a guitar on here. I mean, I guess every once in a while, but far from their debut. But I think this is their last really good record. You got the Cars, Shake It Up. Now, I do like a lot of other Cars records more, but I'm a huge Cars fan, so anything from their classic period, I'm gonna dig. What else we got? Journey puts out their massive Escape. I mean, obviously with the eternal "Don't Stop Believing" on there. Actually, a lot of other really good songs on here too. The title track, I think, is pretty underrated. "Who's Crying Now" is a great ballad. "Stone in Love's" awesome. Now, I've never been a fan of Open Arms. I don't know, but yeah, undeniable, great pop stuff. Van Halen keeps rocking. Got Fair Warning, really good record. Kind of a darker record, Mean Streets, Center Swing, Unchained. God, that Unchained, man, so heavy. God, that's great. Eddie Van Halen starting to experiment with a little bit of synthesizer on here. Not a ton, but a little bit. Totally underrated record here. This is a gem. ZZ Top's El Loco. This is fantastic. I mean, this is a precursor to when they blow up in the 80s, with Eliminator. Some of the seeds of that are on here. And even just from the album, the album art, right? I mean, they're just having a lot of fun. Kind of stretching out, a little more eclectic, experimenting with a little bit more stuff. But this is one I've, like, for me, I had a ZZ Top video a way long time ago. But, when I talk about this record, it's, for the longest time, I didn't really, I don't know, I didn't think about it very much. Didn't like it. I don't know, recently, I say recently, within the last year or two, really come to appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. The Cure, I think the best of their kind of early goth period. Faith, what I mean, as gray and dreary as the album art, but man, Primary, All Cats Are Gray. I love that song. Yeah, there's happy stuff here. The Funeral Party, The Drowning Man. But I mean, if you're into this stuff, I mean, that's primo. That's primo. All right, this one. I'm a big fan of the Grateful Dead's Reckoning. This is an interesting thing. This is a 2-record set. This was sort of a unplugged acoustic set that they did. Now their studio work's not that great at this point, but they could still do it live, and this is a lot of fun. It's a little bit, it's kind of different. There's a lot of covers on here, but some good, really nice versions of there's some of their originals, like Dire Wolf and China Doll, and what else? Cassidy, To Lay Me Down, Ripple. Yeah, some real good stuff. And like I said, sort of in this kind of acoustic setting, and they do a real nice job on here. That's amongst Dead fans. A lot of Dead fans like that. I'm one of them. What do we got here? Brian Eno and David Byrne collaborating on My Life in the Bush of Ghosts. This is really experimental, early example of a lot of sampling and really groundbreaking stuff, actually. And it's pretty interesting. All right. Speed it up here for you guys. I'm a big fan of the Secret Policeman's Ball albums and this is fantastic. I've decided I'm going to do I'm going to do a video sort of about these shows and these albums. They're really interesting. So I don't know. That video's coming at some point. But this one features Sting, Jeff Beck, and Eric Clapton together, Bob Geldof, Phil Collins, Donovan, and the inevitable All-Star Jam on there. Really good. We'll do a video on those shows and those albums. I think they're real interesting. Tom Petty puts out Hard Promises. I think this is almost the equal of Damn the Torpedoes. Man, this is good. The Waiting, Woman in Love. I like Night Watchman. Something Big's cool. Insider, I think has a beautiful duet with Stevie Nicks. Yeah, man, it's It's good stuff. The Go-Go's debut, Beauty and the Beat, is fantastic. This really should have been in my top 10. This is so good. Just tight, kind of power pop, man. I mean, God, it's good. Phil Collins puts out Face Value, which was a kind of a surprise for everybody. This was sort of just this little project while Genesis was sort of on hiatus. And this turned out to be a huge record for him. Obviously, In the Air Tonight's on there. I missed again. I think is a brilliant pop song. Man, those horns, so good, so good. And finally, got the sophomore effort from U2, October, often overlooked. I think I love this record. Sort of falls in between the cracks sometimes. With their debut, Boy, is a little bit better known than this, and of course, War came after, which was huge. A lot of people sort of forget about this one in between, but yeah, I think October's great. Some great textures on here. Good stuff. All right, that's my 1981, guys. So what do you got? Like I said in the comments, what are some favorites of yours from that year? What did I leave out? All that good stuff. Anyway, please do subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. It really helps us out. Hit the bell for notifications for when we put out new content, so you know when it's coming out. And like the videos. All that stuff helps us out. And we'll see you next time.